I never thought that a routine transport on a quiet evening would turn into a life-altering experience. My name is David, and I work at a mortuary in New York City, a job that has taught me to confront death with the composure required each day. However, that evening, fate had a lesson in store for me that I would never forget. It all started when I was tasked with transporting the body of a 5-year-old girl. The emergency call came in during a gloomy afternoon. The atmosphere felt heavy, and although I was used to the usual routine, I had no idea what was about to unfold. The urgency of the request felt different. Yet, as always, I prepared with care. The large black hearse was waiting for me in the parking lot of the mortuary. There was an odd sensation, as if something extraordinary was lurking in the atmosphere. I chalked it up to the weight of my professional responsibility. With the casket secured and the engine humming softly, I set off toward the specified destination. The journey began like any other. As the city lights began to fade, the road stretched out desolately before me. The tension in the air was palpable, and each mile traveled heightened my sense that something unusual was building in the night. Still, I tried to concentrate on my task, convinced that my experience would guide me through any odd occurrences. Not long into the drive, however, the tranquility was shattered. While navigating down a sparsely populated road, I was startled by a series of giggles and knocks coming from the back of the hearse. Initially, I presumed it was some malfunction or interference with the sound system, but the cadence of the sounds suggested something was off. Those were unmistakably youthful giggles accompanied by light knocks that created an unsettling rhythm. My heart raced each time I heard that strange combination. Tension gripped me, but my duty urged me to continue without stopping. Nevertheless, the juxtaposition of a child's innocence and the relentless knocking created a discord that was impossible to ignore. After a while, I reached a breaking point. I decided to pull over at a stoplight, hoping the sounds would fade or that I could uncover their source. The vehicle came to a halt. The engine quieted, and silence enveloped the cabin. Yet, the giggles and knocks persisted, as if they refused to be silenced. My heart raced, my mind swirling with questions, and with trembling hands, I opened the back compartment. Steeling myself for what lay within, I lifted the coffin's lid. What I saw took my breath away. The 5-year-old girl lay there with her eyes wide open, a mixture of innocence and an unsettling awareness crossing her face. For a fleeting moment, I was frozen, mesmerized by how her gaze seemed to bore into my very being. Reflexively, I stepped back. When I finally mustered the courage to look again, her eyes were closed, as if an unfathomable secret had been sealed away in the blink of an eye. Uncertainty overwhelmed me. What could have occurred in that brief moment? Had the essence of the child, who was supposed to be gone, somehow toyed with reality in that inexplicable instance? My mind, so accustomed to the certainties of my work, was caught in a storm of doubts and unresolved questions. This experience defied all the logic I had ever known. Yet, there it was, making it clear that forces beyond my understanding were at play. The drive back transformed into a reflection filled with anxiety. Each passing mile caused me to relive that disquieting image, desperately trying to piece together what I had witnessed. The mingled sound of laughter and knocks that had disrupted my transport had become a haunting soundtrack, echoing in my mind. The feeling that something had manipulated reality kept me awake that night, with each thought tinged by the unsettling unknown. I arrived back at the mortuary with the casket, burdened not by answers but by an experience that would change my perspective on my profession. The image of the girl with her eyes opening and closing in such a mysterious manner was burned into my memory. From that day on, the atmosphere in the mortuary shifted subtly. The once quiet hallways seemed to harbor an extraordinary presence, manifesting in ways I had never encountered before. As days passed, that unease became a constant in my life. I began to notice, unexpectedly, that the toys belonging to the mortician's son would move on their own. These were small occurrences, yet each strange movement reawakened the same feelings of bewilderment from that night. A set of toy trains, for example. Every night, as I locked up the funeral home, I couldn't shake the unsettling image from my mind, along with a silent warning that seemed to linger in the shadows of the place. Over the weeks, my routine shifted dramatically. Each time I drove the hearse, the experience was filled with a tension I'd never known. The streets of Chicago, illuminated yet shadowy, became the perfect backdrop for the unease that resurfaced from that night. The chilling memory of the child with wide-open eyes fused with the feeling that some unseen force was watching from the dark, as if the line between life and death had blurred. Whenever the toys in the funeral home moved on their own, a flood of questions assaulted my thoughts. Could it be that the child had left an unshakable imprint on the space? Or were those strange occurrences simply a byproduct of the chaotic energy released that night? Every attempt to rationalize the events left me ensnared in confusion and fear. Despite my best efforts to restore the calm logic that had once defined me, the incident shadowed every step I took. My work, which had always been meticulous and precise, now served as a relentless reminder of the forces that lie beyond human comprehension. The child's presence became entwined with the laughter, knocks, and peculiar movements of the toys, forming a personal narrative that defied explanation. Gradually, the funeral home turned into a space for reflection. Each inch felt laden with hidden significance, and every trip in the hearse took me back to that night when logic had been shattered in the face of the inexplicable. I was compelled to accept that there are moments when reality cloaks itself in enigma, and regardless of our advanced world, some secrets refuse to reveal themselves to cold rationality. As I navigate the streets of Chicago or ignite the hearse's engine, I sense the lingering presence of what transpired. The memory of the child's lifeless gaze has morphed into an enigmatic beckoning not to question the unthinkable. It serves as a reminder that the interplay of life and death can conjure phenomena that elude understanding. Although the warning has become quiet, its lesson remains etched in my mind. Overlooking certain revelations can unleash repercussions far beyond reason. I've yet to see the child again or fully decipher the meaning behind the laughter and knocks that disrupted my silence. But the unusual movements of the toys and other oddities in the funeral home compel me to acknowledge that an unseen force dwells in the space between the known and the unknown. This experience has altered me irrevocably. While my fear has faded into a deep-seated respect, uncertainty now walks beside me, constantly reminding me of the mysteries that demand acknowledgement. Each day, as I close my eyes, I am transported back to that child and the sensation of helplessness I felt at that traffic light. The memory of that night now serves as a beacon, illuminating the fragility of life and the silent powers that await their moment to emerge amidst a world steeped in technology and certainties. It has taught me to approach the unexplainable with a sense of caution, to respect potential threats lurking beneath the surface, and to realize that some warnings must not be dismissed. As the years pass, I have integrated this lesson into all aspects of my life. While my work at the funeral home remains unchanged, I undertake it with a newfound understanding that the environment is full of signals worth heeding. The image of the child and the echo of laughter have come to symbolize a more intricate reality, one not bound solely by the laws of physics, but by mysteries that sometimes assert themselves in the stillness of the night. Ultimately, that night, when I transported the 5-year-old child, marked a pivotal moment in my life. Each journey in the hearse and every unexpected toy movement serves as a reminder that there are instances where logic and experience are eclipsed by forces operating in darkness. The laughter and knocks that echoed in the back of the hearse are unmistakable signs of the cost of ignoring the unexplainable, one that no one is equipped to pay. Now, during my night shifts, I find myself cautiously observing every shadow and listening closely to every strange sound. The lesson from that night follows me quietly, reminding me that in the intricate maze between life and death, what remains hidden can be just as tangible as daylight. My life has transformed, and though fear has eased with time, the awareness of what lies beyond the visible realm lingers. Each new day serves as a reminder of this profound truth. In 2005, I experienced a late-night transfer that would forever alter my perception of life. My job in the funeral industry had equipped me to confront death with unwavering composure. Yet that night, the line between reality and the inexplicable blurred, transforming the mundane into something eerily surreal. It was nearing 3 a.m., and the city was enveloped in a blanket of silence. The night air was thick with humidity, and the soft glow of the streetlights cast long shadows across the road. I drove down a rarely used avenue, my mind in a near-mechanical state of focus, when suddenly I spotted a figure in the middle of an intersection ahead. Accustomed to dismissing distant figures, I came to a halt when I recognized the unmistakable white dress and lace of a woman. She stood there in an almost otherworldly pose, her presence commanding attention, even in the dark. Instinctively, I accelerated, eager to escape the unsettling sight. However, just as I crossed the intersection, I glanced at the passenger seat and found the same woman sitting next to me. Her pristine yet sorrowful figure contrasted sharply with the emptiness of the vehicle. Her serene face bore the traces of ongoing tears that streamed down her cheeks, while her eyes seemed to narrate a tale of deep sorrow. The silence within the car was thick with a tension that felt as though it were freezing time. Words failed us. All that existed was the haunting image of that woman crying, both achingly close and impossibly unreal. My mind raced to find explanations. Had I been overtired? Was this a perceptual trick induced by the shadows? Or was it something that defied all logic? Yet, the clarity of her tears and the weight of her sorrow convinced me this was not merely a fleeting hallucination. Choosing not to stop, I continued down the road, which stretched out like a hypnotic ribbon, leading me through the desolate areas of the city. An unusual stillness enveloped me with each mile, and I found it hard to believe what I had just witnessed was simply a figment of my imagination. The vividness of the details, the freshness of her tears and her sudden appearance, felt too real to ignore. My destination was an old cemetery on the outskirts of Springfield. The pathway, flanked by ancient trees that seemed to hold secrets of the past, darkened further as I approached. The woman beside me had not changed. Her face remained a portrait of unending sadness. When I arrived at the cemetery, the oppressive atmosphere thickened. The silence contrasted starkly with the distant sounds of the city, creating a profound sense of isolation. Intent on fulfilling my duty, I made my way to the main entrance. As I passed through the threshold, the surroundings shifted dramatically. Shadows elongated, and the light dimmed to a level that barely illuminated my path. Suddenly, the figure from the passenger seat vanished in an instant, the seconds stretching out into eternity. She disappeared without a trace, leaving me stunned and incredulous. Had she been an echo of the darkness surrounding the cemetery, or was she a manifestation reminding me of some tragic fate long forgotten? The answer eluded me, leaving behind a void filled with unanswered questions. With my heart racing, a mix of awe and fear propelled me to seek the truth. I ventured into the cemetery, navigating pathways that had witnessed countless farewells. My mind remained haunted by the image of the sorrowful bride, and I was determined to uncover the meaning behind my encounter. The gravestones and mausoleums seemed to whisper ancient tales, and every corner exuded the memory of lost lives and unrealized love. Approaching a group of gravediggers who kept vigil over the site, I approached them with a blend of respect and urgency. In a voice reverent of the solemn atmosphere, I inquired about any legends surrounding a bride who might haunt these shadows. The gravediggers, men of few words with faces marked by the passage of time, nodded silently and began to share a tale that had lingered in these grounds for years. They recounted that on this very night many years ago, a young bride named Emily was left waiting at the altar. She had trusted her fiancé, David, believing in the love they had pledged to one another, only to watch him vanish without a trace. Consumed by betrayal and grief, she succumbed to despair that same night, her life extinguished in a tragic manner. Since then, sightings of the bride have been reported at intersections and on the edge of the shadows within the cemetery. As time passed, I began to observe that certain items in the funeral home appeared to shift inexplicably, as if the sorrow from that event had spread beyond the cemetery's confines. There was an enigmatic atmosphere that enveloped the location, a delicate presence that revealed itself through unexplainable movements and the quiet of the night. This encounter taught me the importance of recognizing the signs fate offers us and to pay attention to what surfaces within our everyday lives. In a realm that perceives itself as ruled only by logic, The night when a mourning bride materialized in my hearse illustrated that there are stories that refuse to fade away. Each transportation, each trip down desolate roads became a lesson in humility, highlighting that both pain and hope can endure beyond death. Whenever I navigate through empty roads and the sporadic lights of the city vanish into the night, I reflect on that evening with a blend of wonder and sadness. The image of the mourning bride and the tale of a lost love have merged within my life, reminding me that within every twist of fate lies a truth as timeless as the ages. The forewarning of tragedy, the sorrow of a life cut short, continue to shape my journey, imbuing each mile with the shadow of an unfulfilled promise. I cannot say whether I will encounter that silhouette again or if the bride at the intersection will return to search for her beloved in another early dawn. What I am certain of is that this experience changed me, compelling me to acknowledge that some mysteries in this world evade explanation through mundane logic. Though I strive to carry on with the poise of one knowledgeable in his trade, every time the skies turn cloudy and the roads plunge into shadow, my mind is flooded with the vision of a bride whose unending tears continue to yearn for the redemption of a love lost at the altar. This narrative, seemingly drawn from urban folklore, became proof for me that there are moments when the inexplicable asserts itself without seeking approval. The blend of sorrow, betrayal, and longing materialized in that figure who, without speaking a single word, conveyed to me the concepts of fate and the scars impervious to time. With each transportation, I recall the lesson from that night when reality felt as fragile as a breath, blurring the boundaries between the tangible and the ineffable to the point that one could not discern where one ceased and the other began. Years have elapsed since that pivotal transfer in which a mourning bride graced my hearse. My life has continued its trajectory, and the modern world has progressed in technological advancements and certainties. Yet, the experience remains vivid in each nocturnal ride. The haunting yet sorrowful image serves as a reminder that there are narratives worthy of sharing, that some souls still seek solace in the darkness, and that occasionally the inexplicable is merely the echo of the past that refuses to be hushed. With time, I learned to regard each sign, each unforeseen presence, and to accept that fate can reveal itself in ways that challenge reason. The bride at the intersection turned into a symbol of love betrayed, an embodiment of grief that surpasses death. While the memory of that night will eternally linger, it also imparted the understanding that each experience, no matter how unsettling it might be, is woven into the fabric of existence. So, as night descends and the city lights dim, I allow the tranquility to envelop me and immerse myself in contemplation. In that silence, devoid of words and explanations, I sense the presence of that bride who, with her persistent weeping, continues to look for a fiancé lost to time. As I progress on my journey, every mile traveled serves as a reminder that certain mysteries lie in the shadows, awaiting discovery by those who, like me, have experienced the fortune or misfortune of catching a glimpse of truth amidst the darkness. The experience of that dawn impacted me profoundly. Even as the world moves forward and certainties are established through everyday logic, that feeling of having brushed against the inexplicable will always linger. The Midnight Bride has become a part of my narrative, a living myth that persistently reminds me that at times, the agony and splendor of a lost love can manifest in such vivid forms that, for a fleeting moment, the boundary between what we think we comprehend and what hides in the shadows of fate becomes indistinct.